For anyone who hasn't somehow seen it because they've been living under a rock, which I highly doubt because I know most of you in here are heavily politics brained, Trump was found guilty on all 34 charges, and he is now a convicted felon. He spoke earlier today at 8 a.m. PST, 11 a.m. EST, outside of Trump Tower, and I was really curious what he had to say. So let's watch. His speech was so boring. If it's resident sleeper, because Trump really is hit or miss, I feel like sometimes Trump be chatting and is boring as hell, and sometimes he goes off. Look at him. I'm so her.
Thank you very much, everybody.
He looks so, oh my God. He looks like he just got thrown into like a fucking dryer. He looks like he just got sent into like the dishwasher. Jesus.
This is
he looks like a mess.
If they can do this to me, they can do this to anyone. These are bad people. These are, in many cases, I believe, sick people. When you look at our country, what's happening where millions and millions of people are flowing in from all parts of the world, not just
his beautiful orange glow that's gone.
South America, from Africa, from Asia, from the Middle East. And they're coming in from jails and prisons. And they're coming in from mental institutions and insane asylums. They're coming in from all over the world into our country. And we have a president and a group of fascists that don't want to do anything about it. Because they could right now, today, he could stop it. But he's not. They're destroying our country. Our country is in very bad shape. And they're very much against me saying these things. They want to raise your taxes by 4 times. They want to stop you from having cars with their ridiculous mandates that make it impossible for you to get a car or afford a car. But make it very possible for China to build all of our cars. It's a very serious problem that we have. We just went through one of many experiences where we had a conflicted judge, highly conflicted. There's never been a more conflicted judge. Now, I'm under a gag order, which nobody's ever been under. No presidential candidate's ever been under a gag order before. I'm under a gag order, nasty gag order, where I've had to pay thousands of dollars in penalties and fines and was threatened with jail. Think of it. I'm the leading candidate. I'm leading Biden by a lot, and I'm leading the Republicans to the point where that's over. So I'm the leading person for president, and I'm under a gag order by a man that can't put 2 sentences together, given by a court, and they are in total conjunction with the White House. And
he really is so girly pop. You guys are right. He's so girly pop.
The DOJ, just so you understand, this is all done by Biden and his people. And maybe his people more importantly. I don't know if Biden knows too much about it.
Lolo has exclusive footage of Trump inside his apartment after the convictions. Whoa, wait, this is breaking footage. Hold up. Trump laying down in Trump Tower tonight.
Don't let anyone in. I just want to be in my feelings tonight. Tell Eric to send up, what are those called? Chicken fingers. Tell him to send up the chicken.
Oh, so good. Oh my God.
Because I don't know if he knows about anything. But he's nevertheless the president, so we have to use his name. And this is done by Washington, and nobody's ever seen anything like it. So we have a judge who's highly conflicted. You know what the confliction is. Nobody wants to write about it, and I'm not allowed to talk about it. If I do, he said, I get put in jail. So we'll play that game a little bit longer. We won't talk about it, but you're allowed.
Why does he talk like that? We'll play this game a little bit longer.
To talk about it. I hope you do. Because there's never been anybody so conflicted as this. As far as the trial itself, it was very unfair. We weren't allowed to use our election expert under any circumstances. You saw what happened to some of the witnesses that were on our side. They were literally crucified by this man
Literally crucified. They were literally crucified.
who looks like an angel, but he's really a devil. He looks so nice and soft. People say, oh, he seems like such a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action. And you saw that.
Yeah, that's also a thing that I say about people. He looks nice and soft.
With a certain witness that went through hell. And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let us do those things. But
This is my favorite thing about people who are like, Biden is senile. It's like, dude, yeah, so is Trump. What is that? Yeah. Hello?
do things, he wouldn't let us do those things. But when the government wanted something, they got everything. They got everything they wanted.
What a beautiful way with words. He wanted to do things, he didn't let us do the things, and then
Seems like
the
such
government, they got everything.
a nice man. No, unless you saw him in action.
What is this?
And you saw that with a certain witness that went through hell. And when we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let
When we wanted to do things, he wouldn't let
us do
He
those
wouldn't
things.
let us do the things.
But when the government wanted something, they got everything. They got everything they wanted.
Wow.
It was a rigged trial. We wanted a venue change where we could have a fair trial. We didn't get it. We wanted a judge change. We wanted a judge that wasn't conflicted. And obviously he didn't do that. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We had a DA who was a failed DA. Crime is rampant in New York, violent crime. That's what he's really supposed to be looking at. Crime is rampant in New York. Yesterday in McDonald's, you had a man hitting him up with machetes, a machete. Whoever can imagine even a machete being wielded in a store, in a place where they're eating, and he's going rampant, and Bragg is down watching a trial.
Whoever could imagine a machete being wielded in a store where they eat?
What they call crimes. They're
The West has fallen.
falsifying business records. That sounds so bad. To me, it sounds very bad. You know, it's only a misdemeanor, but to me, it sounds so bad. When they say falsifying business, that's a bad thing for me. I've never had that before. I'm falsifying. You know what falsifying business records is? In the first degree. They say falsifying business records. Sounds so good, right? It means that legal expense, I paid a lawyer, totally legal. I paid a lawyer a legal expense. And a bookkeeper, without any knowledge from me, correctly marked it down in the books. A very professional woman, highly respected, she testified, marked it down in the books as a legal expense. So a legal expense, paid a lawyer, is a legal expense in the books. It's not sheetrock, construction, or any other thing. It's a legal expense. Think of that. This is what the falsification of business records were. And I said, what else are you going to call it? What else are you going to call it? Now, I would have testified. I wanted to testify.
I like how this is the same defense he used for justifying his decision to tell, who was it in Georgia? What was their official title? I'm trying to remember, but he gives them a call and he tells them, like, I need you to find another, like, 2,000 votes or whatever. I like how his defense to basically trying to coerce, was it the governor? Trying to coerce, I think it was the Secretary of State or the governor. What is Brian Kemp's position? Brian Kemp. Governor. So, at the very least, he's governor now. He, like, made a call to Brian Kemp and said, I need you to find another 2,000 votes. I need you to find them. And Brian Kemp is like, hey, man, oh, he was the Secretary of State. He's like, I don't know what to tell you. We're not finding those votes for you, man. We counted them. We triple checked them. We don't have those votes for you. We can't just make the votes. He's like, I need you to find them. It's really easy. It's just, you need to find them. I just need a little bit more. And then when that was attempting to coerce a government official to do something illegal, He later claimed, it's illegal to talk to your friends nowadays. It's illegal to call them. It's illegal to call them and ask for favors nowadays. Can you believe it? It was the perfect phone call. It was the perfect phone call, and now I can't even speak to my friends. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean? What?
The theory is you never testify, because as soon as you testify, anybody, if it were George Washington, don't testify, because they'll get you on something that you said slightly wrong, and then they sue you for perjury. But I didn't care about that. I wanted to. But the judge...
That is not how perjury works, by the way. That is not how perjury works.
Allowed them to go into everything that I was ever involved in, not this case, everything that I was ever involved in, which is a first. In other words, you could go into every single thing that I ever did. Was he a bad boy here? Was he a bad boy there? And my lawyer said, what do you need to go through? And all you wanted to do is testify simply on this case. Because I would have loved to have testified. To this day, I would have liked to have testified. But you would have said something out of whack, like it was a beautiful sunny day and it was actually raining out. And I very much appreciate the big crowd of people outside. That's incredible what's happening. The level of support has been incredible. So the whole thing is legal expense was marked down as legal expense. Think of it. This is the crime that I committed, that I'm supposed to go to jail for 187 years for. When you have violent crime all over this city at levels that nobody's ever seen before, where you have businesses leaving, and businesses are leaving because of this, because heads of businesses say, man, we don't want to get involved with that. I could go through the books of any business person in this city, and I could find things that, in theory, I guess, let's indict him, let's destroy his life. But I'm out there, and I don't mind being out there because I'm doing something for this country, and I'm doing something for our Constitution. It's very important, far beyond me. And this can't be allowed to happen to other presidents. It should never be allowed to happen in the future. But this is far beyond me. This is bigger than Trump. This is bigger than me. This is bigger than my presidency. And the people understand it because I just see a poll just came out, the Daily Mail. That was the first one, came out, was done last night right after the verdict, where I'm up 6 points. 6 points from what we already were. We were leading fairly substantially. We're up 6 points in the Daily Mail poll. Now, maybe other polls come out and it says something differently. But a lot of people have predicted it because the public understands, and they understand what's going on. This is a scam. There's a rigged trial. It shouldn't have been in that venue. We shouldn't have had that judge. He should have allowed us to have an election expert. We had the best expert, most respected expert, head of the...
We had the best expert, guys. We had the best expert. For the Constitution, he said he wanted to suspend it to be dictator and silence protest protected by the Constitution. Yes. Yes. Poor guy. Everything he touches is rigged.
Federal Elections Commission. He was all set to testify. He was waiting for 2 days. And when it was his turn, Bragg's people protested. And the judge knocked him out, said you can't testify. He actually said you can't testify for anything having to do with the trial. You can say what the federal elections is. Well, that doesn't help. Everybody knows that. But you can't testify. So essentially, he wasn't able to testify. Other people weren't able to testify. But with these people, they were able to use people salacious. By the way, and nothing ever happened. There was no anything. Nothing ever happened, and they know it. But they were as salacious as they could be, and it had nothing to do with the case, but it had to do with politics. And do you notice the timing? The timing was perfect. This case was dead. It was dropped by every agency, every governmental board. It was dropped by the highly respected Southern District. They said, no, there's no case here. It was dropped by federal election, and that's what it's about. This is about a federal election, not a state election. You're not even allowed to look at it. They took the state and the city, and they went into a federal election. They're not allowed. The people from federal election, Southern District, and Washington dropped the case. Everybody dropped the case. There was no case.
My brain is turning to paste. Like, What the fuck what has he been talking about for the past 2 minutes?
Cy Vance dropped the case. And when Bragg came in, he said, this is the most ridiculous case I've ever seen. And who would have a certain person, again, gag order, who would have a certain person like this ever testify? He said, this is essentially one of the worst people I've ever seen ever to testify. He said, the craziest case I've ever seen. This is Bragg. Then when I announced I was running for president, long time later, they decided to revive this case. And they got a judge, Judge Marchand, who was responsible for another case that was also brought. It destroyed the life of a very good man, by the way. Destroyed the life of a very good man.
I have to say, the number of like unironic sexual predators that have people that go and defend them and say you're destroying the life of a very good man has basically convinced me anytime someone says you're destroying the life of a very good man, it's actually not a very good man. It's actually a bad man, actually. Wait. Also, realistically speaking, I'm not even going to disagree on the fact that like it's going to be an impartial court, because who the fuck doesn't have an opinion on Trump? I don't know a single person who feels totally neutral about Trump. The court is going to be biased regardless. It's just either it's going to be biased against you or towards you. And the goal is to find at least the least biased people. There's just nothing we can do, man. Sorry that you are so political. Isn't he the one who propped states' rights? Shh. If you let him talk long enough, he starts to sound like ChatGPT.
Who went to prison once, and then they just put him in prison again because they said he lied. He didn't lie. I looked at the statements he made. In fact, he didn't remember something, and they put him in jail. Again, they've destroyed him. With me for many years, he was an honorable person. He was an honest man. And if you look at what he did, supposedly, it never happened. There's never been anything like this. Over the education of his grandchildren. He didn't report that he had a car or 2 cars on his income. I don't know. I wonder how many people here have cars. I wonder how many people said, oh, gee, I have a car that's worth X dollars. How do you even figure it? And I guess you do have to report it, but I would say.
Did you know you have to report 5 cars to the IRS? I didn't know that. What are you talking about? What are you? Oh my God. Okay, I'm just going to say this again. All right. As someone who went to school for accounting, WW, thank you so much for the 3 months. Thank you. The IRS is going to assume ignorance and like mistakes before they ever assume fraud. If you don't report something that you were supposed to report and you're just like some random person that works a random 9 to 5 or whatever, the IRS is never going to come after you with fraud charges. The IRS only comes after you for fraud charges when you've actually done fraud. Because they assume that the average person just made a mistake. Because that's generally what has happened. That's generally what happens. You file your taxes. That's the most complicated thing for no fucking reason. And when you make a mistake, they're like, hey, we think you made a mistake on this line. You owe us this much. Or, hey, you forgot to report this. You owe us this much. Or, actually, you overpaid. Here's how much we owe you. If there has likely been a pattern of fraud, then they investigate it further. And then maybe they audit you. And then they might decide whether or not you've actually committed fraud. But on like a day-to-day basis, oh, you forgot to report the new car you bought this year, they're not going to go after you for fraud. Oh, you have like a bunch of suspicious accounts and a lot of like unaccounted money that's going in or out. Okay, actually, we probably are going to have to audit you because this is probably fraud. One-off instances, they don't give a shit. They just don't care. They just don't care. I had a part-time job and I forgot to report the entire W-2 because I didn't get it until later. And I only worked it at the beginning of the year. The IRS sent me a letter saying I forgot to add it. They added it themselves and adjusted my return themselves. Yeah, and it's because, again, investigating you for fraud is going to be expensive. Auditing you is going to be expensive. They don't want to waste their time and money going after some random person who probably just forgot to report income or forgot to report something. And they literally just say, hey, you made a mistake. Here, fix it. We know how much you owe us. You gave us the wrong amount. We didn't tell you. We told you to guess, but you made a mistake. So here. That's it. It's not scary. Don't be scared of the IRS unless you are actually committing fraud. If you're actually actively committing fraud in large amounts, you should be scared. They are going to come after your ass. If you're not, so you can just eyeball it and let the IRS do the calculations. I mean, unironically, kind of, yeah. I had one professor who told me, or told the class, not me, but told the class, hey, yeah, I've been filing my own taxes for 20 plus years. And every year I always make a mistake, and every year they just tell me how to fix it. And then I just pay them whatever I owe them, or they give me whatever they owe me. And I've never gotten in trouble. So, I mean, I just file to the best of my ability and call it a day. And that's, yeah. But I think it's cute, the fear mongering of like, they're actually after you. I'm just in the way. I'm just in the way. And that's why they're coming after me. Because really, they want to audit you. Person who works paycheck to paycheck, who the IRS would definitely waste their time or money going after you for no fucking reason. Like, it's so silly. It's just absolutely ridiculous. If the IRS knows all of that already, why do they want the humans to file taxes in America? Oh, so H&R Block can exist. Duh. And the more confusing and complicated taxes are, the more ways that like the richest people can get away with some bullshit. If they make it really easy and straightforward and simple and just like, hey, you made this much money, you pay us this much, then rich people wouldn't be able to get as many tax loops as they can and as much bullshit as they can.
Probably almost nobody does. Nobody even thinks about it. They put this man, they destroyed this man, but they put him in jail again because they didn't want him to testify. They didn't want him to testify. That's why he went to jail. They put him in jail twice. He's 77 years old. Now, normally I'd say that's an old guy, but I don't feel 77. Nobody ever says that about me. I'd like them to say, gee, we have to have a little sorrow for this man, because they just don't say that about me. But maybe I'm better off that way. I think I'm probably better off that way. But they
Guys, I'm just a little old man. Why won't you be nice to me? I'm just a little old man. Did the person who did his makeup quit? I swear he looks more fucked up and patchy than usual. He's really lost his orange glow, his orange sheen. Also, I think the IRS's free tax file is here to stay and is coming to every state next year. Yes, I actually wanted to talk about that. Look, guys, oh my gosh, my history in accounting, finally, I'm getting value out of it. Woo, let's go, yay. I didn't go to college for no reason. I didn't get a degree for no reason, right, guys, right? The IRS for, I believe, as an extended policy, given all the COVID stuff, they introduced this free file with the IRS, just like you don't have to use some other dog shit platform and pay some other company or some other people money to file your taxes. You can just do it online yourself with their free file like program or whatever. And they said, or rather AP recently reported, IRS makes free tax return program permanent and is asking all states to join in 2025. The IRS said Thursday it will make permanent the free electronic tax return filing system that it experimented with this year and is asking 50 states and the District of Columbia to help taxpayers file their returns to the program in 2025. The IRS tried direct file project for 2024 tax season on a limited basis in 12 states for people with very simple W-2s. W-2s are just like you work for somebody else and you have a boss or a manager and they pay you money with your W-2s or whatever. Agency is also inviting all states with a state income tax to sign up and help people file their state returns for free. During the 2024 pilot, tax agencies in Arizona, Massachusetts, California, and New York help people directly file their state taxes. So huge, by the way. Absolutely fucking huge. The IRS was tasked with looking into how to create a direct file system as part of the money it received from the Inflation Reduction Act, signed into law by President Joe Biden in 2022. It gave the IRS 9 months and $15 million to report on how such a program would work. The IRS has been underfunded for decades, so taxpayers haven't gotten the support they deserve. Thanks to the Inflation Reduction Act, we are changing this. The IRS is part of the Treasury Department, which is cool. Very cool. Oh, and this is what I was talking about. For people saying, wait, if the IRS already knows how much money you owe, why do we even have to tell them? Why do we have to do this guessing game? Because in other countries, by the way, in a lot of European countries, for example, the IRS tells you, or the equivalent of the IRS for those countries tells you, hey, you worked this, we have reported that you worked this many hours at this firm for these wages as reported by your employer. You owe us this much in taxes, or we owe you this much of a return. They send you a letter and they tell you to pay anything that you owe because they already know how much you owe because your employer's already told them. Versus the US, where that's not the way that it is. When I lived in China, it worked the same way. They just tell you what you owe. Yes, exactly. Here in the UK, the tax is taken at source. No need to do any calculations. Then at year end, any refunds or additions are sent. The IRS doesn't know everything. There are other deductions and stuff. They'll only know if you tell them. Sure, I'm just talking about how many taxes they believe you to owe based on how much money you made that year. Now, you can get tax deductions for example, if you have dependents or like child tax credits, or if you buy a house or you put money into a 401k, or there's lots of deductions you can get in lots of different ways. Or if you donated money to charity, for example, a 501c3, all that and other stuff. But generally speaking, they do the hard part of this is how much we have on record that you made this much money. You should owe us this much money. If there is any information you believe us to not have, give us that information and then tell us how much you owe according to that, right? And so for the people saying, well, why the fuck isn't it that way in the US? The IRS has faced intense blowback to direct file from private tax preparation companies that have made billions of dollars from charging people to use their software and spent millions of dollars lobbying Congress. The average American typically spends about $140 preparing their returns each year. So TurboTax, which I believe is TurboTax with H&R Block, are they different? I believe they're the same, or maybe it's a program that is used by H&R Block. It's Intuit. You're right. Yep, you're right. TurboTax Wiki. You're right. Has there been like recently a merger, or do they use the like proprietary software or something? TurboTax is a software package for preparation of American and Canadian income tax returns produced by Intuit. TurboTax is a market leader in its segment, competing with H&R Block tax software. Oh, okay. So they're different. TurboTax was developed and sold to Intuit. Okay. Yes. And then here you go. The company has been subject of controversy over its political influence and deceptive business practices. Intuit, the maker of TurboTax, has engaged in a multi-million-dollar lobbying campaign against the IRS, creating its own online system of tax filing like those that exist in most other wealthy countries. Intuit is under investigation by multiple state attorney generals, as well as the New York State Department of Financial Service. As part of the agreement with the IRS Free File program, TurboTax allowed individuals making less than $40,000 a year to use a free version of TurboTax. A 2019 pro-Republican investigation revealed that TurboTax deliberately made this version hard to find, even through search engines, and that it deceptively steered individuals who searched for the free version to TurboTax versions that cost money to use. TurboTax has tricked military service members to pay to use the filing service by creating and promoting a military discount, and by making the free version hard to find when many service members are in fact eligible to use the software for free. It has to be said, you're hummus like Scootish. I can't believe you would come here and say that to me. I tried it. I didn't get to try it, okay, because we didn't have any tasting spoons, okay? All right? I didn't get to try it. It was so hard to file with free this version, yes. Or this year, yeah. So, TLDR, capitalism. I'm sure it'll breed innovation any moment now, right, guys? Right? 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 Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I was actually part of the TurboTax free file class action. I got $270, easy profit.
TurboTax also stole a bunch of people's stimulus checks. Is that true? We have to wait for the innovation to trickle down. Oh. Oh, okay. Also, when I talk about tax loopholes, what I'm talking about is being able to defer your tax liability over the course of many years or actively making a business that looks unprofitable because your expenses are high and being able to say that, oh, well, we operated at a loss, but the loss was because you paid your CEO millions of dollars you didn't need to pay them. But since you paid them so much and that comes from your expenses, that's a business expense. Wages are business expenses. And I had to pay these guys 6 figures. I'm sorry. They had to get paid $700,000 to do nothing. Like that is an example of something that is just like, this is not accurate. This system is not working. Okay. What do you mean you get to operate at a loss and not have as high as a tax liability as you should because you actively decided to give a bonus that would make it so that you didn't have to pay taxes like this? Like, are you fucking kidding me? Maybe that's not great. Maybe. They did not do nothing and then played golf and had lunch meetings. Yeah. Much like your overlord Twitch/AWS. Yep. Oh, hi, Jigglypuff. Hi, Gigglypuff. Oh, thank you, Maris. But yeah, that's what I mean when I talk about that. When I talk about tax loopholes, I'm talking about things that are totally legal, but that should not be because all they do is serve the 1% to help them continue to exploit the poorest people in our country. That's what I mean when I talk about tax loopholes.
Put him in jail.
I'm not going to lie, though. I think we got all the good stuff out of the Trump interview. I think it's going to be a lot more just like incessant rambling. This meme, whoever posted this earlier, it's fucking hilarious. Bill Clinton, Protestant, 8 years of allowing TurboTax. George Bush, Protestant, 8 years of allowing TurboTax. Barack Hussein Obama, Sunni Muslim, 8 years of allowing TurboTax. Joseph Biden, Catholic, stopped TurboTax in 2 years. Oh gosh. uh Christ. The really funny thing though about all the Trump stuff has been shit like this. The MAGA morons that have been unbelievably cringe. Look at this shirt. I love Donald Trump. You got a problem with that? Something gays for Trump. Hogwatch, hogwatch, hogwatch.
Yeah. Go where you belong. Go where you belong. You are Tom Daddy. Stay away from us, motherfucker.
You got a problem with that, bitch? Gays for Trump.
Get the fuck out of here. You gonna vote for a traitor? Get the fuck out of here. Faggot. You're the faggot. You're the faggot. You're the faggot. Get the fuck out of here, bitch. Bitch. You have a cunt. You're a little pussy. You're a pussy. You're a pussy. Do you hear me? You're a little pussy. Yeah. Little shrivelly pussy. That's what you are. That's all you are is a cunt.
Yeah, run.
You're not even a man.
We're gonna eat you. We're gonna eat you and your family
Yeah?
alive.
I'm so proud of you. Oh, you little bitch. Knock him down. Knock the bitch down.
Get the fuck out.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out of New York City. Pussy. You little pussy. You little pussy. Get the fuck out.
Go where you belong.
Oh my God. He literally has like the vein throbbing that you see in angry cartoon characters. No, but like actually, the throbbing neck vein is crazy. That's crazy. I can tell immediately that this is someone who is pro-Israel. Not gonna lie. It's giving like Israel propaganda being insanely homophobic to prove that Gaza is homophobic. That's what it's giving, to be quite honest. I also saw this. Deranged MAGA cultists congregate in support of Trump and harassed a British couple in New York for literally just walking through.
Disgusting, aren't they? What disgusting people.
What do you think about the response that happened? You were having a conversation with them.
Well, we were actually here purely for entertainment value. We're from England.
Purely for entertainment value.
Take your team right there. Get the fuck out of my We got it. Fuck the queen. Fuck the king.
Okay, wait, that was actually spitting though. Wait. Absolutely vile behavior.
Stop.
Disgusting.
Bernie, hell you little fuck.
But to be fair, who are we if not that British woman? She was just trying to go hog watching in the wild. Is really how different are we to her and her to us? Really. I also enjoy a bit of hog watching for entertainment purposes. Me too. All right, me too. But fuck the queen and the king though. That lady was based.
Alright, bro, she's out.
And we enjoy watching Trump on the TV, and we cannot. John!
Oh my! It would appear they're still angry with us. Just enjoy it without Trump watching. I enjoy watching Trump on the telly. She just wanted to go to the zoo. Like, honestly, queen shit, me too. Me too, honestly. She has to be memeing though. Like, British people don't actually sound like that, right? Why does that person's shirt say AIDS? AIDS talk? I don't know. I don't know. I don't know, and I'm scared to know, to be quite honest. All right, that's the truth. I don't know, and I'm scared. I'm scared, Monka W. Monka Omega. No. No. Every day is a day that I hope Anna Kasparian becomes better, and every day is a day that I am wrong. Ben Shapiro tweeted out, ironically, if Donald Trump had not been named Donald Trump and had indeed shot someone in broad daylight on Fifth Avenue, Alvin Bragg would have let it slide. Anna Kasparian says, fair point. This other person says, in what universe is this a fair point? And she responds saying, in a universe where repeat violent criminals are released over and over again, where have you been? I can't fix her. I can't fix her. I can't. I can't do it. And then Mike posted this image following that one saying, that says, it's a headline that says, New York City murders and shootings are down in 2023 for a second year in a row. Lennon Ermey, thank you so much for the 4 months. Thank you. If they're released, they would have to have been sentenced in the first place. Yeah. violent crime rate has been dropping for the second year straight in New York City and experienced a complete right-wing grifter at this point. I wouldn't call her a right-wing grifter. I would call her a liberal grifter, which, to be clear, those things are basically the same thing. However, then you don't have to deal with annoying people like this. This tweet that says, "We disagree, therefore you are a right-wing grifter. I sure love being on the left." This is just like, you just call them liberal grifters so that the libs stop being in your mind. Because, like, honestly, it's funny when conservatives are in your replies and mentions. It's funny. It's very funny. Because they're just, like, so far gone. They don't live in the same reality. It's just annoying when you have to talk to liberals. There's nothing funny about it. It's just like the worst, most annoying people on the planet are liberals. TBH, I don't think she's a grifter. Well, I would say that it's hard to tell, to be honest. But I totally believe that she could be a liberal grifter, that she wants to go more center, which in the US is right wing, because she thinks that that's a market that she can appeal to. And there's more money to be made there. It's possible she genuinely believes what she says. It's totally possible. And she just made a 180 because it was convenient for her. But all I will say is she has become liberal. She's either the grifter or has dumbass opinions. Both are bad. Yeah. For one thing for sure, she's not even progressive. Poor people bad. Crime is crazy. Trans people crazy and bad. Like, what the fuck? Yeah. Any one of those individual offenses, and I would have been like, oh, okay, well, maybe she's trying to learn about it. Maybe she's trying to become more educated on these topics or whatever. And no, that's not. No. I also wanted to see this. I don't know if this was good hogwatch or not, but I wanted to see it. It was people in D.C. reacting to Trump's guilty verdict.
This marks the first time in American history that a former president has been charged and convicted of a crime, right? The very first time. And he had a lot to say about this, including some of the very things he has said throughout the campaign system about it being rigged, about this being a disgrace. And so, shall we go to the former president's remarks?
Let's listen to some of what he had to say.
This was a disgrace. This was a rigged trial by a conflicted judge who was corrupt. It's a rigged trial, a disgrace. They wouldn't give us a venue change. We were at 5% or 6% in this district, in this area. This was a rigged, disgraceful trial. The real verdict is going to be November 5th by the people. And they know what happened here, and everybody knows what happened here.
Okay, there you have it. As we said, a lot of folks are reacting to this today. Right now, we want to start our team coverage with our Matthew Torres, who is live in Lafayette Square.
Yeah, and Matthew, we know you've been talking to people reacting to today's verdict, and we know you were even telling people about.
It is just so funny to hear on, like, mainstream news organizations say the word reacting. There's something about it that just, like, brings a smile to my face, brings a tear to my eye.
Today's verdict, and how were people reacting?
You know what? We're here in D.C. We've heard a lot of ecstatic reactions about Donald Trump's verdict. To them, they were asking how long the jury deliberated, and the fact that you had about 10 hours in 2 days gives you an understanding of where this jury was leaning towards. But we are here just outside of the White House, gathering several reactions from different people. And really, we've heard a lot of shock. They say
journalism is just going on the street and say, react harder.
no matter which party you are voting for, knowing that you have a former president who has now been convicted of a crime certainly is leaving them shocked. They say they just don't know what the next steps will look like, and certainly that is a question for a lot of people. Another person told me that this is an example that no one is above the law. Another person telling me that they were unsure whether or not the jury will actually come back with the guilty verdict, knowing just how much attention and how much pressure this trial has really set for everyone.
You guys fucking yapping. Jesus, I thought I yap. Can I say one other thing also? I get why the Trump tards are so up in arms about this trial. And, like, Trump is right. They are only going after him for these other felonies because he's Trump. I genuinely will say with certainty, personally, I will say with certainty that every single president we've ever had has done illegal shit, has probably committed misdemeanors and felonies in their time in being in office. They just have never gotten prosecuted because they gracefully stepped down and we were like, okay, that's good enough. And they didn't try and overthrow an election. Like Nixon and Bill Clinton, great examples. The thing is, when they both got caught, they were like, okay, my bad. I'm just going to quit. My bad. Sorry. My bad. I'll leave. Sorry. Caught. Whereas Trump, we're like, dude, you did not win that election. You did not win that election. And he's like, but what if I overthrew it anyways? It's like, maybe we should prosecute this guy and put him behind bars before he tries, I don't know, to overthrow the next election or the next one. And if he hadn't done that, I can say also with certainty that if he had decided, okay, well, shit, I didn't win, no one would have prosecuted him. He would not have gotten prosecuted. If he lost and like phased out into obscurity, he wouldn't have gotten prosecuted. It wouldn't have happened. He's clearly being targeted because he's a true patriot, Denims. Oh, I'm sorry, you're right. You're right. I can't wait until the alphas get into mainstream orgs and every local news broadcast starts with, hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Douglas here. And today we're going to be doing some react content. Kick us about the 3 months. Biden speaking live about Israel. Oh, switching from one senile old man to the other one. One sec. Hold up, guys. Did he just leave? He just left. What the fuck? He got lost, actually? Oh, he just got bored? I think it was time for nap time. Ah! The screen is ginormous. Okay. He forgot what he was going to say, so he left. You heard the ice cream truck. I love soft serve.
Just checking this afternoon. Good afternoon. Before I begin my remarks, I just want to say a few words about what happened yesterday in New York City. The American principle that no one is above the law was reaffirmed. Donald Trump was given every opportunity to defend himself. It was a state case, not a federal case. And it was heard by a jury of 12 citizens, 12 Americans, 12 people like you, like millions of Americans who served on juries. This jury is chosen the same way every jury in America is chosen. It was a process that Donald Trump's attorney was part of. The jury heard 5 weeks of evidence, 5 weeks. And after careful deliberation, the jury reached a unanimous verdict. They found
yes, I put it on 1.25.
Donald Trump guilty on all 34 felony counts. Now he'll be given the opportunity, as he should, to appeal that decision just like everyone else has that opportunity. That's how the American system of justice works. And it's reckless, it's dangerous, and it's irresponsible for anyone to say this was rigged just because they don't like the verdict. Our justice system has endured for nearly 250 years, and it literally is the cornerstone of America, our justice system. The justice system should be respected, and we should never allow anyone to tear it down. It's simple.
Nobody is above the law, says man who condemned the ICC for sending out arrest warrants for Netanyahu. Well, like, no one is above the law in the U.S. except for when they are, okay? That's different.
Simple as that. That's America. That's who we are.
That's America.
And that's who we'll always be, God willing. Now to another issue.
Some people were saying that Biden shouldn't react to the conviction. Why not? I don't give a shit on that front. I mean, like, I think that the people that are going to vote for Biden, we're going to vote for him no matter what. And I think the people that aren't going to vote for him are not going to vote for him. Like, I don't think that there is, unless Biden actually holds Israel accountable and does literally anything, the people who are not voting for him are not voting for him. They're not going to change their mind because you gave us refundable, what is it called? Plane tickets. They're not going to vote for him because of the Inflation Reduction Act, and now we get to free file our taxes. That's not enough. You're not going to like placate people who care about genocide with a bunch of random bullshit.
In my efforts to end the crisis in Gaza. For the past several months, my negotiators of foreign policy, intelligence community, and like have been relentlessly focused, not just on a ceasefire that would inevitably be fragile.
Biden saying, God willing, he definitely wanted to say, inshallah, his Muslim colleague, Obama, made him convert to Islam. That is an amazing sentence. Just all about that is just amazing.
And temporary, but on a durable end of the war.
I want to hear
That's been
Biden hit
focus,
the astaghfirullah. I want to hear him hit that.
Durable end of this war. One that brings all the hostages home, ensures Israel's security, creates a better day after in Gaza without Hamas in power.
I love that they always talk about the hostages, but they're like, here's the thing, we want to keep bombing Gaza, and unfortunately they refuse to give us the hostages unless we agree to stop bombing them. Like, what the fuck?
It sets the stage for a political settlement that provides a better future for Israelis and Palestinians alike. Now, after intensive diplomacy carried out by my team, my many conversations with leaders of Israel, Qatar, and Egypt, and other Middle Eastern countries, Israel has offered a comprehensive new proposal. It's a roadmap to an enduring ceasefire and the release of all hostages. This proposal has been transmitted by Qatar to Hamas. Today, I want to lay out its terms for the American citizens and for the world. This new proposal has 3 phases. The first phase would last for 6 weeks. Here's what it would include: a full and complete ceasefire.
What is with Americans saying Qatar? What's up with that? I'm not saying you have to say Qatar. I'm not saying that. But it's not Qatar. It's not Qatar. If you're going to use American transliteration, English transliteration, just say Qatar. There's no American that can't pronounce Qatar. Saying Qatar is not accurate. Like, what the fuck? Why are you saying Qatar? Arabs that be in Qatar. Like, just say Qatar. He's saying Qatar. Yes.
Withdrawal of Israeli forces from all populated areas of Gaza. Release of a number of hostages, including women, the elderly, the wounded, in exchange for release of hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. There are American hostages who would be released at this stage, and we want them home. Additional, some remains of hostages who have been killed would be returned to their families, bringing some degree of closure to that terrible grief. Palestinians, civilians would return to their homes and neighborhoods in all areas of Gaza, including in the north. Humanitarian assistance would surge, with 600 trucks carrying aid into Gaza every single day. With the ceasefire, that aid could be safely and effectively distributed to all who need it. Hundreds of thousands of temporary shelters, including housing units, would be delivered by the international community. All that and more would begin immediately. During the 6 weeks of phase 1, Israel and Hamas would negotiate the necessary arrangements to get to phase 2, which is a permanent end to hostilities. Now, I'll be straight with you. There are a number of details to negotiate to move from phase 1 to phase 2. Israel will want to make sure its interests are protected. But the proposal says if the negotiations take longer than 6 weeks for phase 1, the ceasefire will still continue as long as negotiations continue. And the United States, Egypt, and Qatar would work to ensure negotiations keep going. All agreements, until all the agreements are reached and phase 2 is able to begin. Then phase 2, there would be an exchange for the release of all remaining living hostages, including male soldiers. Israeli forces would withdraw from Gaza. And as long as Hamas lives up to its commitments, a temporary ceasefire would become, in the words of the Israeli proposal, the cessation of hostilities permanently, end of quote. Cessation of hostilities permanently. Finally, in phase 3, a major reconstruction plan for Gaza would commence. And any final remains of hostages who've been killed would be returned to their families. That's the offer that's now on the table. and what we've been asking for. It's what we need. The people of Israel should know they can make this offer without any further risk to their own security because they've devastated Hamas forces over the past 8 months. At this point, Hamas no longer is capable of carrying out another October 7th. It's one of the Israelis' main objectives in this war, and quite frankly, a righteous one. I know there are those in Israel who will not agree with this plan and will call for the war to continue indefinitely. Some are even in the government coalition. And they've made it clear they want to occupy Gaza, they want to keep fighting for years, and the hostages are not a priority to them. Well, I've urged the leadership in Israel to stand behind this deal, despite whatever pressure comes. And to the people of Israel, let me say this. As someone who's had a lifelong commitment to Israel, as the only American president who's ever gone to Israel in a time of war, as someone who just sent the U.S. forces to directly defend Israel when it was attacked by Iran, I ask you to take a step back and think of what will happen if this moment is lost. We can't lose this moment. Indefinite war in pursuit of an unidentified notion of total victory will not bring Israel, will only bog down Israel and Gaza, draining the economic, military, and human resources, and furthering Israel's isolation in the world. That will not bring hostages home. That will not bring an enduring defeat of Hamas. That will not bring Israel lasting security. But a comprehensive approach that starts with this deal will bring hostages home and will lead to more secure Israel. And once a ceasefire and hostage deal is concluded, it unlocks the possibility of a great deal more progress, including calm along Israel's northern border with Lebanon. The United States will help forge a diplomatic resolution, one that ensures Israel's security and allows people to safely return to their homes without fear of being attacked. With the deal, a rebuilding of Gaza will begin. Arab nations and the international community, along with Palestinian and Israeli leaders, to get it done in a manner that does not allow Hamas to rearm. And the United States will work with our partners to rebuild homes, schools, and hospitals in Gaza. To help repair communities that were destroyed in the chaos of war. And with this deal, Israel could become more deeply integrated in the region, including, it's no surprise to you all, including no potential historic normalization agreement with Saudi Arabia. Israel could be part of a regional security network to counter the threat posed by Iran. All this progress would make Israel more secure, with Israeli families no longer living in the shadow of a terrorist attack. And all this would create conditions for a different future, a better future for the Palestinian people. One of self-determination, dignity, security, and freedom. This path is available once the deal is struck. Israel will always have the right to defend itself against the threats to its security and to bring those responsible for October 7th to justice. And the United States will always ensure that Israel has what it needs to defend itself. If Hamas fails to fulfill its commitments under the deal, Israel can resume military operations. But Egypt and Qatar have assured me, and they are continuing to work to ensure that Hamas doesn't do that. And the United States will help ensure that Israel lives up to their obligations as well. That's what this deal says. That's what it says. And we'll do our part. This is truly a decisive moment. Israel has made their proposal. Hamas says it wants a ceasefire. This deal is an opportunity to prove whether they really mean it. Hamas needs to take the deal. For months, people all over the world have called for a ceasefire. Now it's time to raise your voices and demand that Hamas come to the table, agrees to this deal, and end this war that they began. Of course, there'll be differences on the specific details that need to be worked out. That's natural. If Hamas comes to negotiate, ready to deal, then Israel negotiations must be given a mandate, the necessary flexibility to close that deal. The past 8 months have marked heartbreaking pain. Pain of those whose loved ones are slaughtered by Hamas terrorists on October 7th. Hostages and their families waiting in anguish. Ordinary Israelis whose lives were forever marked by the shattering event of Hamas's sexual violence and ruthless brutality. And the Palestinian people have endured sheer hell in this war. Too many innocent people have been killed, including thousands of children. Far too many have been badly wounded. We all saw the terrible images from the deadly fire in Rafah earlier this week, following an Israeli strike against targeting Hamas. And even as we work to surge assistance to Gaza, with 1,800 trucks delivering supplies these last 5 days, 1,800, The humanitarian crisis still remains. I know this is a subject on which people in this country feel deep, passionate convictions, and so do I. This has been one of the hardest, most complicated problems in the world. There's nothing easy about this, nothing easy about it. Through it all, though, the United States has worked relentlessly to support Israeli security, to get humanitarian supplies into Gaza, to get a ceasefire and a hostage.
You guys don't understand. It's very complicated to not kill children, okay? We had to kill those kids. We had to kill 20,000 children. We had to, because it was complicated.
Deal to bring this war to an end. Yesterday, with this new initiative, we've taken an important step in that direction. I want to level with you today as to where we are and what might be possible. But I need your help. Everyone who wants peace now must raise their voices and let the leaders know they should take this deal, work to make it real, make it lasting, and forge a better future out of the tragic terror attack and war. It's time to begin this new stage. For the hostages to come home, for Israel to be secure, for the suffering to stop. It's time for this war to end, for the day after to begin. Thank you very much.
Mr. President, can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign? We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir.
Should he be on the ballot, sir?
So creepy.
We'd love to hear your thoughts, sir. Do you think a conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
So creepy. He literally, I just, ew. Will continue giving them weapons while holding them accountable? Yeah. Fucking dead man walking over here, dude. He kind of straight up looks like the guy from Pam's Labyrinth. The guy. Ugh. Ooh. Like when Palpatine says good. Ooh. God. And then can you believe there are liberals that are like, that's my president. Yes. Vote blue no matter who. Ew. Fucking ew. Ew. He continues to say that the disproven mass sexual assault allegations too. Yeah. It's just like the frustrating part for me, and it's always been the most frustrating part for me, if what Hamas is doing is so evil and so bad, why can't you just stick to what's actually provable? Huh? Why do we have to make this shit up? I don't understand. I don't get it. I just don't understand. If you want to see some S-tier glazing, scroll down on World News. Dare I? Dare I? I'm too scared. I'm too scared to do that. I don't want to. That place and the politics subreddit, the glazing is so crazy. It's so crazy. It's like, I don't understand why so many people are glazing so hard. It's like, it's sad. It's sad. Why do our politicians look like literal demons? Because they are, I guess. God, so creepy. Ugh. Okay, I need a bit of a palate cleanser. I'm going to be honest. I need a bit of a palate cleanser. Okay. All the big subreddits are AstroTurf to hell and back. I wouldn't even just be surprised if a lot of the subreddits have like just a fuck ton of bots in them. I genuinely wouldn't even be surprised. Palette cleanser. Are you implying Hamas isn't bad? No, I'm implying that if Hamas is as bad as these people say, they describe Hamas as like the terrorist organization that must be destroyed no matter what. We have to do everything we can to rid the world of Hamas. This is the most evil terrorist organization that's ever existed, ever before, and we must protect the poor state of Israel from this evil Hamas. And it's like, okay, if Hamas is like the biggest evil we have ever faced, ever, why are you making shit up? Like, why do you feel the, why not just point at the shit that they actually did? Why not just point at like, hey, these women claim that they were, and we did an investigation and it would appear that they were. Okay, great. I'm on board. I'm on board. I'm on board on like documenting war crimes. Hey, they did take these people hostage. Hey, they did this. Hey, they did this. Okay, great. We're on board. Keep a good note of all this stuff. It's worthwhile. I understand. And you should prosecute the individuals within Hamas who actually engaged in this behavior. But why are you pretending like there was this mass campaign among Hamas? Like, why are we doing that? Why are we making shit up? It's so bizarre to me. It's just insane to me. They always go the extra mile, man. It's crazy. Yeah. The asthma golden rule. I mean, yeah. So personally, just very infuriating. Embellishing what Hamas did is about justifying killing Palestinian children. And that's the problem for me, right? It's like, I do think that Hamas is a terrorist organization. I do think Hamas has done heinous things. And I do think that they should be prosecuted, and the people within Hamas should be prosecuted for those crimes. We're on the same page. Why the fuck are we making shit up? Why are we creating all this bullshit propaganda? They're evil enough. You don't need to create another false narrative. It's not necessary. That's not necessary.